And then a prepositional phrase inside of that ablative absolute. Okay, so we have, like, with this dispute having been held on each side. Literally it says into each part. When, okay, this resistere is an impersonal verb. Literally it says, don't write this down, but it was resisted fiercely by kata. Okay? So, but we know that the person being resisted is Sabinus. Okay? So you can say, the better way to say it was, Sabinus was resisted fiercely by kata. And by the first ranks. So who are the first ranks? What does that mean? Yeah, like the highest ranking officers. Okay, and part of this, I think, or I visualize it as like, the whole world is, Caesar's not there listening to it, Sabinus and Cotta are not going to tell the real story, so you're getting like the people listening from the outside of the tent story. Does that make sense? Who are like reporting it back to Caesar, who's reporting it to you in his journal that he knows is going to be published. Okay, Sabinus says, when if you wish, I said if you wish it so. It does say remember the Alamo. That's how I remember this passage.
Was it when, if you wish it so?
Like win, W-I-N, like we're winners. I believe that we can win.
Okay, so.
Like, in other words, like, have it your way. We'll do it your way. Okay, and he says this in a clearer voice. Or like a louder voice. Okay, then we got a result clause. How did I know it was a result clause? Eta right here? Okay. Okay, so he says it in a clearer voice so that a large part of the soldiers... Oh, no. This says it's a purpose clause. Really? No, I don't believe them. I think that's a fail. I think it's a result clause. Anyway, so that a large part of the soldiers overheard. Okay, he says, I am not the man, or I am not the one who is feared most seriously by the danger of death. By you. In other words, like, I'm not the one who's like scared we're gonna die by doing this. Okay, how did I know that was a relative clause of characteristic? Terry R is in the subjunctive and the qui. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not the type of man. Ah!
Did not sign up for this.
Okay, so is anybody signed up for tomorrow?
Nope.
Okay, so we got these men, meaning the ones who are scared up here in the previous sentence, will know if okay, and then after C, Nizzy, Newman, nay, all the ollies go away, so that quid is really alloquay. If anything, and then this is a comparative adjective, if anything more serious happened. Sorry. Okay, so this says that accouterate is a future, more vivid construction, which means this accouterate right here is future perfect, and then this is future right here. So it means that this action happened before some other action happened in the future. So you're going to say, if anything more serious will have happened, they will ask the reason from you. Okay, then we got who, talking about those guys. Okay, and then this is a future less vivid condition. So okay, let's talk a little bit about conditionals. Okay, so remember you got two types of conditionals. You've got factual and imaginary. Okay, you might also hear them being called vivid, less vivid, or you might hear them called, this one might be called contrary to fact. Okay, but here's the deal. The factual ones use the indicative, and the imaginary or the contrary to fact use the subjunctive. Okay, then it just depends on the tense of how you translate them. But it's going to be the same in the if part of the clause and the then part of the clause. So you got present, past, and future. So in the indicative, this would be present. This would be imperfect, perfect, pluperfect. This would be future perfect and future. So that future more vivid we saw just a minute ago when we said will have will. Okay, that was this one over here. And the imaginary uses the imperfect subjunctive for the present. So it'd be were, would, have. Okay, then the pluperfect for the past. So it would be had, would have. And then the present subjunctive for the future, which would be should, would, which is what we're about to see here in just a second. Okay, so then we go back to this. You see, this is present subjunctive. So here's your if clause with that C. Okay, present subjunctive, present subjunctive, present subjunctive. Okay, so that's going to be a should, would clause. That's a future less vivid clause. Okay, so so we got who, if they should be allowed so if it should be allowed through you, okay, those who having joined with the nearest winter camps on the day after tomorrow. Okay, and then here's the would support the common cause of war with the rest. And use this verb, would not having been banished and having been separated far off from the rest, perish either by the sword or by famine. This is metonymy for sword. And something stands for something else. Okay, this together is zeugma. When you use one verb with two different objects to have two different meanings. Okay? But what I think is interesting here in this paragraph is how we use these participles to describe the state of the soldiers, what could happen. This is what could happen to them, and then ultimately they would die. If they stay where they are today, they will surely be attacked by the Germans or they'll starve. So, pick your poison. Remember the Alamo. We're all in this together.